I'm going to be doing this debate, first of all, on crystallization, and secondly, on conscious. So crystallization, what are the mistakes coming from government? First of all, they horribly cherry-picked this debate. They made it very narrow to the point that it's only sexual fantasies, even though our PM clearly outlined to you that it is much more than that. Fan service can be in the form of like supportive messages from your idol, or fan service can be in the form of like cute interactions between like your idol and like another idol, right? We really don't see whether they're trying to like pretend that fan service is just straight up like legalized sport, right? Really don't see whether they're trying to worstenize the status quo. Don't buy their case. Like secondly, we think there's a horrible lack of analysis coming from government, in where they mentioned overreaching harms and how they like try to act as fan service is going to be the downfall of like modern society in of itself. They try to pretend like fan service is the main cause of like perverts happening, or the main cause of like the degradation of like young people, right? We really don't see the analysis on how like the simple act of fan service can have this much overreaching harm, right? They never gave us like a clear analysis on that. Like moving on to clashes. We identified two clashes in this debate. First of all, an exploitation. There are two sub-clashes in this, mainly the exploitation of children and the exploitation of idols itself. What do we have to say for this? We already mentioned in the outline of the importance of fan service, that these fans who were bullied, who have these like niche interests, deserve to feel happy, they deserve to feel like they're the main character in like a dragon slaying anime. They deserve to feel like their idols actually care about them. We think that that is inherently good because the fan club cannot provide that for them, so we believe that anime or like Asian media in and of itself is a totally outlet for that, right? Like secondly, I'll try to tell you that the exploitation of children will happen because of fan service. Because people will buy like these like photo cards, people will buy like these merch or like posters, right? But then notice how this is a method for like almost every human interest, right? I.e. football fans buy poster of their favorite people. Even if you want to take like a very like sophisticated hobby, like watching opera, people spend hundreds of dollars on opera tickets, right? We don't believe this is like inherently bad thing that you want to spend money on something that you love. Because simply put, it is the human interest. And we already outlined in PM how we don't think it's a bad thing for you to like enjoy certain media so much, and it's not a bad thing that you want to spend money on it because it's symmetrical on all sides of the house, right? Like secondly, we also mentioned that there are check and balances, i.e. PM already outlined to you that, for example, if companies were like scam their like young viewers, obviously there would be news coverage. They mentioned themselves that these idols are so major, so why wouldn't like people, media, or like social media speak up if like these idols are trying to like scam them, right? We really don't see the analysis. They can't like have their cake and eat it too. Like secondly, they mentioned about sexual exploitation and how outside of the house there's a degradation of like modest or like sexual, or like people are going to be more sexual. On this panel, how they're trying to pretend that this teenagers that are sexual isn't just an innate biological thing, right? We believe like hormones exist. Hormones will still exist regardless of whether there's fan service or not, right? Even if fan service is suddenly like decreased significantly, teenagers will still desire to see like sexual stuff simply because they have the hormones and they want to see like the innate feelings that they feel being represented in like media, right? So like, and like secondly, we really don't see where this is like only exclusive like K-pop, right? They never mentioned about like other forms of media, i.e. like Bollywood, i.e. Hollywood, also have like sexualization of actors because it simply sells. Because we already outlined again in PM about this is media and media's main purpose is to sell. And again, we really don't see how it's like exclusive to like fan service that they're able to see these like sexual stuff, right? Like secondly, what happens in the absence of fan service? We believe that it will be worse under the absence of fan service because they will have to access it in ways that are not so combative. Our DPLO already told you about how like the conservatives and like Asian media, right? Obviously, these companies will have like, the capacity to know that they shouldn't show like straight up like literal porn to like show them, right? Because A, the culture is like very conservative, and B, they want to get as much viewers as possible. So they'll obviously keep it moderate. So we don't see how they're acting like fan service is like this big sort of like degenerate thing, right? Like secondly, they also mentioned about the second subclass, the exploitation of idol, right? But like notice panels how like no companies will only see these like idols as like a means to fan service because simply you still need talent to be an idol, right? And it backfires horribly when a company tries to only use fan service without having an actual talent, i.e. like Les Seraphim, like failing in Coachella because like people understand that they can't sing. Obviously, the industry doesn't want people to think that their idols are bad and like fail at singing, so obviously the idols will still have like talent, right? Like secondly, they're trying to frame this as like K-pop idols are being forced, that they're being held at gunpoint to do these things. But notice the NDLO. However, they refuse to acknowledge our point even under their third speaker. We outline simply because these idols have a sort of like relationship with their fans. I mean, their fans feel like these idols care about them. These idols have bargaining power over their agency. The counterfactual here is on our side of the house. Idols have to follow the whims of their agency because there's the only way they get like media coverage. But in our side of the house, there is individual bargaining power for every idol, depending on like the fans that they attract based on their fan service. What is the impact of this panel? We already outlined this in DLO, yet they haven't addressed it at all. The impact of this is Hugh supporting Palestine and his fans supporting him because they feel like they have a special connection to him. Compare this to, for example, the Western actor Mark Ruffalo, who supported Palestine, but until now he doesn't have a lot of media coverage simply because he doesn't have that sort of like special connection with his fans. We believe that in our side of the house, it allows for like idols to have more bargaining power, and even in the worst case scenario, if these idols decide to support Israel, there will be other idols with similar bargaining power to be able to check and balance them, right? And there's always the like agency who obviously doesn't want to see their idol like spit out controversial statements, right? So we really don't see how idols will be better on their side of the house. Like second clash. We call the second clash is symbol, it's exposure, right? Which one actually allows Asian media to flourish? They're trying to play the game that like, oh, the plot point will be harmed. Like there won't be proper proper animes with like good plot because all they'll take is like fan service. Notice panels how until now they haven't given us an actual example, and yet they say that we're like the ones doing K-pop idols. Notice how like the most famous anime, Evangelion, Blue Stray Dogs, like Attack on Titan, still have proper plot because it's simply if you make fiction, you need to have a proper plot that like makes sense, right? Like sure, there might be like a beach episode where all the characters are like in bikinis for fan service, but we don't see how they're supposed to be like disruptive to the plot as they try to play, right? Secondly, we again sexualization is like symmetrical in our sorts of media simply because it sells. But thirdly, we feel like what our winning point in this clash is, at least in our fan service, it's a way for people to discover new media in the way that like when people are like attracted to media based on fan service, attracted to Asian media based on fan service, realize that the media is like so much more than that, and it leads to more exposure for like Asian media and like for Asian anime. I.e., people thinking like Evangelion is like about like fan service, but realizing it's a deep anime about like the purpose of human life, right? We don't see how there's going to be like more exposure on their side of the house, even on all two clashes, and for all those reasons, not the proposal. I mean, also.